One became one of the biggest movie stars on the planet after nearly destroying himself completely. One walked away from Hollywood at the height of his fame and got a PhD instead. One died before most of us ever got the chance to say goodbye. And one was already a legend before the cameras even rolled, but Weird Science would cement him as something else entirely. It has been 41 years since Gary and Wyatt sat down at that computer and created the perfect woman. 40 years since Weird Science changed what a teen comedy could be. But what happened to the people who brought it to life? Some of their stories will surprise you, some will break your heart, and at least one of them will make you say, wait, seriously? This is the cast of Weird Science, then and now. Number 1. Kelly LeBrock as Lisa. Let's start with the one who started it all. Kelly LeBrock was 24 years old when she stepped through that bolt of lightning and became Lisa, the impossibly cool, impossibly beautiful woman that two teenage boys conjured from a computer and a bra. She was already a successful model, she'd already turned heads in The Woman in Red, but Weird Science made her a full-blown cultural icon. That white dress, that accent, that line. So what would you little maniacs like to do first? It lived in the heads of an entire generation. And then, behind the scenes, something else was happening. During production, Kelly began a relationship with the film's director, John Hughes. That relationship didn't last. She moved on, and in 1987, she married Steven Seagal. On paper, it sounded like a Hollywood dream. In reality, it became one of the most difficult chapters of her life. They had 3 children together, but the marriage grew toxic, and by the time they divorced in 1996, Kelly had decided something. Fame wasn't worth it. She left Hollywood, packed up her children, and moved to a ranch in rural California. She chose mornings feeding horses over red carpets. She chose quiet over celebrity. And for years, that was enough. Today, Kelly LeBrock is 65 years old. She occasionally speaks publicly, and when she does, she's warm, grounded, and completely at peace with the choice she made. She has no regrets about leaving, only about some of the years she spent there. Lisa was the fantasy. Kelly chose something more real. Number 2. Anthony Michael Hall as Gary Wallace. If you grew up in the 1980s, Anthony Michael Hall was everywhere. He was 16 years old when he played Gary Wallace, the awkward, lovable instigator who convinces his best friend to build a woman in a computer. By then, he'd already done 16 Candles and The Breakfast Club. John Hughes trusted him completely, and it showed. Gary could have been annoying. In Anthony's hands, he was irresistible. But here's something not everyone knows. After Weird Science, Anthony Michael Hall made a deliberate and bold choice. He walked away from the teen nerd typecasting that had made him famous, and in doing so, walked away from the momentum that had been building. For a stretch in the late 80s and early 90s, the work dried up. It was a rough period. He's spoken openly about struggling with alcohol during that time, and about the discipline it took to get sober in his mid-20s. The comeback was quiet but real. He reinvented himself as an adult actor, appearing in The Dark Knight, playing a slick bully opposite Christian Bale in a role nobody saw coming. He took on TV work, indie films, kept building. Then, in 2022, he married actress Lucia Oscarova. In 2023, they welcomed a son. At 56, Anthony Michael Hall is a husband, a father, and a man who seems genuinely content with where life brought him, including the detours. Gary Wallace spent one wild weekend changing in life. Anthony Michael Hall spent a few decades doing the same thing. Number 3. Ilan Mitchell-Smith as Wyatt. Here is the one nobody sees coming. Ilan Mitchell-Smith was 15 when he played Wyatt Donnelly, the gentler, more anxious half of the duo, the one who goes along with Gary's schemes because deep down, he desperately wants to belong. Wyatt was earnest and sweet and completely believable, and Ilan played him with a sensitivity that a lot of child actors couldn't have pulled off. And then, in the early 1990s, Ilan Mitchell-Smith did something almost no one in Hollywood has ever done. He just left. Not because he had to, not because the roles stopped coming. He chose to go. He enrolled in university, discovered a passion for literature, specifically for the medieval period, and followed it all the way to a PhD. Today, he is an associate professor of English at California State University, Long Beach, specializing in medieval literature. Let that land for a second. The kid from Weird Science teaches Chaucer. He married Suzanne Snyder in 1995. They have 2 children. He is, by all accounts, genuinely happy in academia, far from the Hollywood machine, far from red carpets, far from nostalgia conventions. In a world where former child stars often struggle to let go, Ilan Mitchell-Smith is maybe the most successful exit story in the business. He's 56 years old, and he figured something out a long time ago that most people never do, that a meaningful life and a famous life are not the same thing.
Number 4. Robert Downey Jr. as Ian. His name appears about halfway down the cast list. His role is maybe 10 minutes of screen time. He plays Ian, one of the bullies, sneering and entitled, giving Gary and Wyatt grief at every turn. Robert Downey Jr. was 19 years old. You already know where this is going, and it's still remarkable. The young man playing a background bully in a teen comedy would become, by almost any measure, one of the most famous actors in the history of cinema. Iron Man, Tony Stark, $50 billion at the box office. One of Hollywood's highest paid performers for over a decade. But between Weird Science and that global domination, there was a decade of destruction. Drugs, arrests, prison time, roles that evaporated because no studio would insure him. A rock bottom that played out publicly enough that most people assumed the story was over. It wasn't over. He got sober in 2003. He married producer Suzanne Downey in 2005, and then in 2008, Iron Man came out, and the entire world watched one of entertainment's most staggering comebacks in real time. Today, Robert Downey Jr. is 60 years old. He remains one of the most bankable and respected figures in Hollywood, and if you squint, you can still see the smirk from that bully in Weird Science underneath the repulsor beams. Number 5. Bill Paxton as Chet. And now we come to one of the hardest ones to write. Bill Paxton was 29 years old when he played Chet Donnelly, Wyatt's older brother. The single most magnificent bully in 1980s cinema. Chet wasn't just mean, he was operatically mean, creatively mean. Every insult he delivered landed like a brick, and every scene he walked into, he owned completely. After Weird Science, Bill Paxton became exactly the kind of actor Hollywood needs, but rarely celebrates properly. The one who makes every movie better just by being in it. Aliens, Twister, Apollo 13, Titanic, One True Thing, Big Love. He was a chameleon, funny, menacing, heartfelt, ridiculous, sometimes all in the same film. He was beloved by his peers. He was known as one of the genuinely good ones. In February 2017, Bill Paxton went in for heart surgery. He was 61 years old. He died from a stroke, a complication nobody had anticipated. The news hit Hollywood like a truck. It hit his fans even harder. There was no warning, no long illness to prepare for. He was just there, and then he wasn't. His family later filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the hospital and the surgeon. It was settled in 2022. Bill Paxton is gone, but Chet, monstrous, hilarious, unforgettable Chet, is immortal, and so is the man who played him. Number 6. Suzanne Snyder as Deb. Suzanne Snyder was 22 when she played Deb, one of the popular girls, the romantic foil, the kind of character that in lesser hands would have been pure decoration. She was already developing a knack for genre films that would define the next stage of her career. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, Return of the Living Dead Part 2. She became one of the more sought-after faces in late 80s horror and sci-fi, a queen of the kind of films that people now pay real money to see at midnight screenings. She married screenwriter Grant Kramer, and they built a family together. 3 children, a life that eventually pulled her away from the screen and towards something quieter. Today, Suzanne is 63. She still appears at nostalgia conventions, where the warmth fans show her is genuine and loud. She seems to enjoy it, the reminder that the work mattered, that people still care about those strange, funny, low-budget films she made when the world was younger. At 63, Suzanne Snyder is proof that you don't need a franchise or a comeback to leave a lasting impression. Number 7. JudyAronson as Hilly. JudyAronson was 20 when she played Hilly, the other popular girl, a role that required presence even without much page time, and she had it. If you remember Weird Science, you remember Hilly, even if you had to think for a second about the name. What happened next was a sharp left turn. Judy leaned into horror, appearing in Friday the 13th, the final chapter, and carved out a niche as a genuine scream queen. She was magnetic on screen in a very specific, very 80s way, the kind of performer that era needed. And then she walked away from it and built something completely different. She became a businesswoman, owning and running several Pilates studios in Los Angeles. She keeps her current personal life largely private, by design it seems. She is 61 years old and appears to have no interest in telling her story on anyone else's terms. Some people find the spotlight. JudyAronson found something she liked better. Number 8. Vernon Wells as Lord General.
Vernon Wells was 38 when he thundered onto screen as Lord General, the mutant motorcycle gang leader who crashes the party in one of the most gloriously unhinged sequences in 80s cinema. It's the kind of entrance that makes an audience gasp, then laugh, then cheer, often in the same 2 seconds. What some viewers didn't realize is that Lord General was not Vernon Wells' first rodeo with iconic villainy. He'd already appeared in Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, and Commando alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was, by the time he walked into that house party, already a cult legend. He became more of one after. Today, Vernon Wells is 80 years old. He has been married to Isabel Wells for many years. He remains a regular and beloved presence on the cult film convention circuit. The kind of actor who understands that his fans aren't just fans of the movies. They're fans of what those movies meant to them growing up. He honors that. The crowds love him for it. Some actors get a career. Vernon Wells got a mythology. Number 9. Robert Rusler as Max. Robert Rusler was 18 when he played Max, Ian's sidekick, the supporting bully, the one who stands slightly behind the main antagonist and makes everything worse. It's a role that requires a specific kind of charisma, enough presence to be memorable, enough restraint to not steal the scene. He got it exactly right. After Weird Science, Rusler moved through the genre landscape with quiet consistency, A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Vamp, Thrashin'. He built a career as a reliable character actor across 4 decades without a major scandal, without a dramatic fall, without a Netflix documentary. Just steady, professional, committed work. He keeps his personal life private, he keeps his head down, he keeps working. In an industry that often chews people up, Robert Rusler at 60 is simply still here, still in the game. And there is more dignity in that than people give it credit for. Number 10. Britt Leach as Al Wallace. Britt Leach was 46 when he played Al, Gary's cheerfully oblivious father. He had all of 3 minutes of screen time, maybe less, but those 3 minutes were perfect. Every beat landed, every reaction hit. He'd been working steadily in television throughout the 1970s and continued through the 80s before making the decision to step back from acting in the early 90s. He has been married to Catherine D. Roberts since 1981. He pursued personal projects, writing, a life outside the machinery of Hollywood. Today, Britt Leach is 87 years old. He's one of those actors who made a choice quietly and never looked back, and whose contribution to a beloved film is smaller than it deserves to be remembered. 3 minutes on screen. Perfectly executed. That counts for something. Number 11. Barbara Lang as Lucy. Barbara Lang was 47 when she played Wyatt's mother, the concerned, slightly baffled parent doing her best to keep the household from imploding while her son was busy building a supernatural woman upstairs. She worked consistently through the 1980s and 90s in supporting television and film roles, the kind of performer every production needs and not enough productions celebrate. She has kept her personal life extremely private throughout her lengthy career and continues to do so now at 88. There is a whole generation of character actors who held the 80s together. Barbara Lang was one of them. She deserves to be remembered. Number 12. John Kapelos as Dino. John Kapelos was 28 when he played Dino, the candy bar shop owner with a brief but memorable appearance that hinted at something larger to come. Because within a year, he would be in The Breakfast Club, playing Carl the janitor in what would become one of the most important American films of the decade. But in the years that followed, life got hard. John faced a nearly fatal car accident. Then he lost his mother. Grief, he has said, hit him in ways he wasn't prepared for. He turned to alcohol. He hit a low point that he is open about, and open about surviving. The turning point came. The work of rebuilding began. Today, John Kapelos is 70 years old in a committed long-term relationship, having married in his 60s, which he's spoken about as proof that love and recovery don't have an expiration date. He still acts, he still shows up, and he carries the weight of his story with the kind of honesty that makes you root for him all over again. Number 13. Michael Berryman as the Mutant Biker. Michael Berryman was 36 when he appeared as one of the Mutant Bikers, and if you saw him on screen, you didn't forget him. He was already famous from The Hills Have Eyes, and his distinctive features had made him one of horror cinema's most recognizable faces. He brought the same commitment and professionalism to Weird Science that he brought to everything. And what's remarkable about Michael Berryman is the distance between the menace he projects on screen and the man who actually shows up on set. By all accounts, he is one of the kindest, most generous performers in the industry. He and his wife Patricia are passionate advocates for wolf conservation. He is beloved on the cult convention circuit, not just tolerated, genuinely beloved by fans and fellow actors alike. Today, Michael Berryman is 77 years old. He is living proof that the monster on screen and the human being behind the role can be completely, beautifully different things. Number 14. Jill Whitlow as the Perfume Salesgirl. Jill Whitlow was 21 when she appeared in the mall sequence, a brief scene but one she handled with the kind of ease that makes you notice a performer even when the camera isn't on them long. She went on to appear in Night of the Creeps and a handful of other films before making the choice that so many actors of her era eventually made.
She stepped away from the industry and chose a quieter life. She is a mother of 2. She is currently engaged to actor and producer Jason LaFridge. Today, Jill Whitlow is 62. She's been largely out of the public eye for decades. Some people are built for the long game of Hollywood. Others decide early that they'd rather build something else. Both are valid choices. Both take courage.
40 years, 14 people, 14 completely different paths forward. One of them became Iron Man. One of them now teaches Chaucer. One of them is gone and we still miss him. One of them chose a ranch over a red carpet and never regretted it for a second. That's what Weird Science really was. Not just a film about 2 kids and a computer and a miracle. It was a moment in time, frozen perfectly, surrounded by real human beings who each went on to live full, complicated, surprising lives. Which story hit you the hardest? Drop it in the comments. And if you want more cast then and now stories like this one, make sure you're subscribed. We'll see you in the next one.